Let's do it. Yo, I'm psyched. Everybody just wants to continue to have a conversation. It's how this all started, so that's how it's going to finish. And but my goal is to bring as much value to you as we possibly can at each one of these events. So let's kick it off. Everybody ready to get started? Yeah. Cool. Hype mode. I'm Justin Abrams. This is Mike Rispoli. That's Matthews Ramos. We are Cause of a Kind. We're a software development shop right here on Long Island. We build custom software, custom applications for businesses of all shapes and sizes. We started Long Island Technologists 11 sessions to go. We meet every 45 days here at Flux Coffee to retell the story of the origin. This business was started at that coffee table right there over a cup of coffee. We helped to build this place maybe 7 years ago or something like that. And so we bring everybody back to retell our story, but also just to create community and convey the technology scene here on Long Island so we don't have to go back into New York City. We left our careers behind for that. Yeah, hell yeah. So I applaud all of you for coming out to some random meetup on Main Street. I'm sorry we had to move the event from tomorrow night to tonight, but you can see by the barricades, tomorrow night there'll be 10,000 literal bodies walking through the streets. It wasn't gonna happen. So thanks for being here. It's a big packed room. We aim to continue to grow this. Who is here for the first time? Yo, good. Applaud to you. That's freaking awesome. I'm psyched. Hopefully you continue to come back. Who's been here 2 or more times? Yeah, me. For sure. This is all growing. We're super psyched to have you guys. By a show of hands, for the folks that know about this, we are thinking about introducing a membership-driven aspect of this. This event is always going to be free for everybody. It takes place every 45 days, and it's really just to impact the technology community here. But who's interested in like more deep dive, membership-driven, thinking about participating in a steep community? Cool. Fun. Interesting. It won't be $250. This is not a country club membership. This is just about giving a little bit more skin in the game to bring you even more value. I'm psyched for tonight. I have a great presentation for you, not me, that guy right there, Jesse Wroblewski. Jesse is an agency owner here on Long Island. What have you been in business, 25 years at this point?
If you're connected with me on LinkedIn, it's sending out my 26th anniversary.
26th anniversary, I think today.
Yep.
So for contrast, we've only been in business for 9 years, really taking it seriously for the last 4. So if you've been in this industry for 25 years, you must be doing something right.
Or you go crazy and turn into a supervillain.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what crazy looks like in the vein of marketing and differentiation, decommoditizing yourself, whether you're trying to get hired, whether you're trying to build a business, whether you're trying to separate yourself from a saturated industry. So Jesse here today, best-selling author. He's got lots of swag. He'll introduce himself. He's going to give us a facilitated conversation. If you have questions and want to participate, I certainly will. Please, this is all conversational. This is not just a presentation, just vomiting on you guys. We want to make sure that everybody walks away with a little bit of value. If you haven't met me, you haven't met Mike, before you leave here tonight, please come introduce yourselves. After this event is all wrapped up, we kick out of here 9 p.m. hard stop. But if you want to join us for a drink and some food, we go right across the street and you're all welcome to come. Shall we do it? Jesse Wroblewski.
So the year is 2018, and data analysts in the entertainment industry notice a blip on the radar, something that's never happened, a behavior that's never happened in the history of humankind. I call things like this human climate change, right? So everything seems normal, we're not affected, but something's bubbling underneath and you don't realize it. And all of a sudden, something happens and we're all affected. So that blip on the radar, this is pre-AI. We were in the streaming heyday, the streaming wars, and they noticed that people were completely willing to pay more to get less. Never happened before. So if you think about it, you had cable companies bundling 300 and so channels, $100 a month, and people were willingly saying, you know what? I'm going to cut the cord. I'll pay $5. Instead of paying 33 cents a channel for 300 channels, I'll pay $5 for the BBC channel. In 2018, there was already too much content that people were willing to pay to filter out the garbage that they didn't want to see. Now, everyone in this room, is there anyone in this room that's not a content creator? You ever go to bed and think, I haven't posted pictures of my kids in a while, or you kind of have that guilty feeling? I don't know the day that it happened, but somehow most of us in this room were assigned a new job. We were content creators. whether you're doing it to generate business or you're doing it to keep in contact with family, friends, etc., build a personal brand. So we're all content creators. Fast forward 7 years, now we have the advent of AI, right? We have content being produced 24/7. The content never sleeps, it never stops. So as content creators, creating content used to be our differentiator, but now it's just commonplace, right? You have a lot of end users that are using these tools to create content, which typically would have taken us days and days and lots of concentration. I think we're in the golden age of efficiency, but in a dark age of repetition. So a quick thought experiment. You just spent a full day, whatever your specialization is, I'm going to use SEO. You spent a full day writing a blog, you tweak it, you have the title, 5 Things to Know About SEO in 2025, you log on to LinkedIn, you're excited to post it, and you look in the last 5 people in your feed, all have just released a blog about 5 things you need to know about SEO, 5 things you need to know about photography, 5 things you need to know about your industry. What do we do?
6 things.
7 minutes.
I mean, it's an important question. It's going to start happening more and more, right? So we used to constantly create content to remain relevant, to remain top of mind. But it's getting, I don't know if you guys are feeling the crunch yet, I am, more and more difficult to gain those same eyeballs that we gained 5, 6 years ago. So open discussion. You have this great blog. You spent a full day of labor trying to get that engagement, that awareness, and you're stopped at the gate. What do we do?
All right. Hey, what I would do, I guess, is you'd have to be different somehow. So what I would think, I guess it would do is you think about what's the thing that would separate me out from the other blog posts? Do I turn that blog post into, like, feed it through like 11 records, which is a AI that creates a voice from the text, right? So it's going to feed it through that. Maybe it's like a podcast somewhere. Or maybe I take it a step further and go to the video route. And now I put it, I forget what video one, Synesthesia? I think that's the one. That basically makes like an avatar. The avatar says it instead. You know, but I guess there's another thing to be said about that, because I know that YouTube is now going to de-rank the AI videos that are just obviously AI. So there's something to be said about that. I mean, if LinkedIn's ever going to catch up to that, who knows? But yeah, I think it's just making yourself unique amongst the other folks who aren't, I guess, is the bottom line.
Yes.
I like going contrarian. So when somebody's putting out thought leadership on a topic, it's very much concise. Like, I probably would have written something like that. How can I poke holes in that conversation? How can I disrupt that conversation from a place of love, and like, I'm not trying to, mess anybody up. But like, how can I insert an alternative perspective on a topic that just feels drained? That's a typical strategy that I just deploy. I'm a content creator every single hour of every day.
Yeah. Well, I was under the impression that it's like you wrote the blog post, you got to do something with it, as opposed to rewrite it.
But I do that in my own content. So like, I might post something, I might not see that there's some engagement, so I'll throw something contrarian out in my own comments just to incite a riot.
That does get a lot of engagement. I think that works great. Post it a different day. Maybe the next week, or when everything dies down, as you see. No, it's 10 more that day. You don't post it that day. You post it in the morning. It's a different day.
So it seems like the throughput is differentiation, right? You got a sea of content, a sea of sameness. You want to be the person that's different, has a unique perspective, has a unique insight. And it's a lot easier said than done. You've already spent a full day running your insight, creating this blog post. Now you have to be consistently different, right? You don't want to be contrary one day and then the next blog post it's, if you can believe it, you can achieve it, You want to be consistent, you want to build that brand. And that's a lot easier said than done. I've read a lot of business books about differentiation. They say, yes, go out, find your USP, your unique sales proposition, go out, be different, stand out, do this, do that. But they don't tell you how. How the hell do you do that? How do you uncover it? How do you consistently kind of stick to that framework? So Does anybody here have success with differentiation or a blog post or a content where it's just like you took a right turn and all of a sudden things happened?
I have stuff like that, but I don't know what made it like that. I end up feeling like it's the right time of day or the right, hook or whatever it is. I don't know what they are, because in some cases I am being like Justin, where there is something contrarian and pointing at this thing and going, this is completely wrong, and here are the reasons why, and going off in that direction. Some other cases, it's not necessarily that, it's a completely new thought, not based on anything else entirely. And sometimes those things work, and sometimes it doesn't work. In fact, I had a post yesterday just saying how excited I am about a new font that was added to Google Fonts.
Saw that.
Yeah. There's like 15 people who liked it over the course of 12 hours. I was like, what are you people doing?
I was home.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it. What do you know? I don't really.
I've done it, but like I don't think too. So this is probably sport.
Trying to boost the algorithm.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I don't. There's some of those posts that are like, okay, a couple dozen people that are liking and engaging or whatever. And then there's other posts that like, okay, I put some time and effort in, and it gets 2 or 3 people to pay attention to it.
Yep.
And I don't know. I don't know what the separation is, because it's not necessarily length. I have long posts that have done well. I have short posts that have been shit. So yeah, I can't tell what's causing it to be good or otherwise.
So not predictable, but if you could find a predictable framework where you could successfully differentiate yourself on a regular basis and get consistent results, would that be something valuable to you? Of course.
Where's my money?
Yeah.
You take my wallet.
So that's kind of the theme of tonight's talk. You don't need a campaign, you need a cult, right? People launching campaigns, they're getting lost in the sea of sameness. You need to start developing as if you were a cult leader, getting followers, getting devotees to your brand, your personal brand, your business. So is anybody here like the late, great, probably greatest of all time, Norm Macdonald, comedian, right? So Norm Macdonald had a short-lived podcast, and him and his sidekick used to play a prank. They would get like A-list celebrities, and his sidekick, Adam Egret, would always ask, they would set him up and ask him the same stupid question just to see what their reaction was. They'd get him ready, and he would say, so where do you get your ideas, right? And they'd wait and see, how this A-lister reacted. But deep down, it's an interesting question. Where do you get your ideas? And if we take Norm as an example, Norm could talk about making breakfast, and I would be like completely locked in and engaged, right? So he just has a unique voice, a unique brand, a unique lens that he sees the world through. So I have written Marketing for Supervillains Volume 1. That's really the why you should be a marketing supervillain. And one of the questions I get asked is, okay, I'm in. How? How do I do it? So in about 2-3 weeks, I'm releasing Marketing for Supervillains Volume 2, and that's the how. That's the prescription, how to do it. And the main thing is creating an unending, unlimited glitch of creativity. And that all happens when you have your unique lens or your framework, right? So in front of most of you in Volume 1, I created what's called the universe of differentiation. Differentiation is very difficult. So I codified how top brands throughout history have successfully differentiated themselves using one of these planets. And a lot of people ask, do I got to be weird? Do I got to be contrary? Do I have to be funny? Do I have to be the craziest dressed person in the room to differentiate myself? And the answer is absolutely not. There's brands like Tiffany's, Steinway, Rolex, all included in the universe of differentiation, probably brands that you wouldn't consider differentiated just based on what they do and how they're perceived, but they've risen to dominance in their industry by differentiating themselves. So if you go back to stand-up comedy, if you think of the really great comedians, you can almost envision what they would say, right? So what would Bill Burr say about the last meeting you were in? All the acronyms, all the stupid titles. You can almost see it in your head. That's something you want to start developing on your own, right? What's your lens? Are you absolutely contrary? Are you positive? Are you nurturing? One of the key elements that I highly recommend is I call it this effing industry of mind statement. What do you feel that is completely wrong with your industry? Something you die on a hill for. Donnie, what do you got?
I mean, the one that I have today is, which is too specific for maybe most of the room, but web breakpoints. They need to die. They need to, you need to stop relying on them. That's not what they're at.
So if you were to put out a blog post about why web breakpoints need to end,
Right.
you probably get some friction, you probably get some believers, but you get some engagement, and you maybe could build on that, right? Right?
I'm confident in you. I'm confident in you.
It's essentially like boiled down to being honest and vulnerable, like just pure about what you think.
I mean, I believe you'll find greater success with authenticity, right? So in the past, I've used logic, and I said, okay, I'm going to be a specialist in this industry because they got a lot of money. They spend all of it on marketing. But at the end, I didn't want to go to the trade shows. I didn't want to speak about that industry. So I went to the world of supervillainy. So I think if you're authentic and you actually want to write and you want to get stuff off your chest about certain issues, absolutely a leg up.
Authenticity is a big part of it, especially today, especially in the world of AI that we live in. Not using it to write your own stuff is a big way of getting authentic, or being more authentic, right? Because it's a human being wrote this. However, I think part of it is also consistency. And then with consistency, and hopefully as people find you and read what you're writing or posting, you gain authority, and they start trusting you and what you're saying. And I think that's part of finding a brand, all in all, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, one quote I'd love to resonate as you leave here. In the world of AI, it's no longer about what you create. It's how hard you are to imitate, not intimidate. Paul's got that in spades, can't intimidate him. So not what you create, it's how hard you are to imitate. Questions so far? So everybody's wondering about content creation. What's the future of content creation? So if you're like Wayne Gretzky, you want to be where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is. So I think in order to be successful and future-proof yourself in the future of content creation, we really have to think about content consumption. What's the future of content consumption look like, right? So right now we have fan fiction, right? Fan fiction about Harry Potter, Breaking Bad. I do not think it's impossible in the near future, within a year or two, we'll have fan fiction, complete seasons of Breaking Bad, created with AI, on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other. How do we filter it out? It's creating more things than our brain can physically handle. How do we filter that out as content consumers? And then as content creators, when there's a brand new season of a fan-created Breaking Bad, and we're writing a blog about SEO, how do we stand out? How do we make sure we have followers, devotees? And I think one of the secrets is you're no longer a content creator. You're a preacher. You're an evangelist for your cause. Whatever that cause may be, you're going to start preaching, evangelizing for that cause. You're going to preach like no one's listening, but the people that do, they're going to be ride or die, and they're going to be willing to burn the system down for you. And that's how you start building your cult. That's how you start building your following in the future of content creation. Questions? Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about like what the goal is? So like, is your goal to go one time viral? Is your goal like me, which is longevity? I got to come up with content every day forever. But like, I very rarely go viral. And I'm not really concerned with going viral. Like if I chase that, I won't sleep. So like, how do you shift between goals, and how do you know what your goal is, and how does that map back to your content creation strategy?
Yeah, I mean, believe it or not, fellow content creators, clients specifically, they don't have that goal in mind. It's just, I heard social media is the hottest thing. TikTok's blowing up. Get me on TikTok. I'm like, well, you're a divorce attorney and you're not really that fun to listen to. So goals are very important. Different tools for different goals, different tools for different jobs. Maybe your job as a content creator is strictly top of mind awareness. You've got a nice niche in your industry and you just want to stay top of mind. I just want to ping you once a month, once a week, that when the day comes that you do need that custom software, or you have some budget for stuff that's in the corner of your whiteboard for the past 3 years, cause of a kind. They just emailed me, I'm going to give these guys a call. So nothing wrong with that goal. But if your goal and the stuff that you're trying to create, you're trying to go viral, you really just want to be top of mind for your strong network, they got to align as well.
Jesse, I think you're talking about really a brand, right? And you think about how much content's going to be out there. It's going to be so much more content. However, there's a shitload of content already, right? So I don't think any of us have watched every single movie that's on Netflix, right? We have a couple that we've picked. So why did we pick those? And it's the brand, maybe it's the director, the producer, an actor, the theme that got in front of us in some way. I mean, the best thing is right now The Offer. Have you watched The Offer?
I'm illegally downloading it right now.
Right? How about that, right? So not only is it a movie, one of the most watched movies of all time, the Godfather series, but now you're watching a show on how that movie was created.
Yeah.
It's all about the brand. It's about the Godfather.
Yeah, I mean, funny study. They took the same exact movie and they showed it to two groups of people. The only difference in group B was they put the Netflix logo in the beginning, and it got higher ratings than in group A, just because people associated the brand with quality at the time. People just perceived it and had a higher expectation and enjoyed it more because they put the Netflix logo, even though it wasn't.
We run into that, we do marketing, right? And our clients who don't have the best brand perception, many of them ride the coattails of other companies that have tremendous brand perception, and it increases response rates every single time. It's brand perception because people want that brand. And it doesn't have to be the best. You mentioned Rolex, right? I'm a watch guy. They do not have the best movie. It's proven. People still want the Rolex. It's a brand.
Yeah, I saw a video on that actually recently where the reason why we keep getting sequels and prequels and reboots and stuff like that is because the brand is there and the movie studios don't want to risk a new IP coming in and flopping. So they're like, we're going to stay tried and true with this, even if the IP has a flop movie, right, or flop, piece of media, it still technically comes out on top because you're going to have people who recognize the brand as opposed to people who have no idea what the story is or who these people are about.
Star Wars is Coca-Cola, so you know what it's going to taste like, you know what kind of bottle is going to come in, you know what to expect when
It's all following those.
Yeah, I mean, I like in the beginning where people are paying more for less. I can completely see in the very near future, people will actually pay for filtering to increase discoverability. So you remember back in the day, channel surfing, some of you? First you found, I discovered this new show. I know, like, we don't do that anymore. We don't do it on YouTube because there's too much stuff. So I could foresee some type of solution that would increase discoverability. Set a filter. I never want to see a cooking video on YouTube. I never want to see a car video on YouTube. Just get everything you don't want to see out of the way to increase. Hey, I might stumble upon a new video, a new creator, a new show that I would have never figured out unless I paid for this filtering option. That's what I think.
Is anyone familiar with the AI conversation from Metal Gear Solid 2?
Yes. Yeah.
So what you mentioned earlier about filtration, wouldn't that enhance echo chambers as that conversation evolves?
Absolutely. I mean,
Dangerous for us.
I mean, I don't think people in echo chambers now are trying to get out of them in the first place. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have a very optimistic outlook on stuff like that, where I think AI will be a tremendous use in when you read an article, something like Ground News, if you ever heard of it. There's an article, 50% liberal, 50%, conspiracy theory, people like this. I think that's going to be a standard overlay, if you want to call that a filter. Overall, everything we see, I think it has to be done.
Think AI will have a role in that?
I think AI will have a role in it. I think user community will have a role in it.
You
But
would trust that? I mean, if they're already conspiracy theory nuts, then they're probably not going to care.
that's what I'm saying. If they're in an echo chamber already, they're not going to care, right? They believe what they want to believe. They look for evidence to support their theory. However, we can't keep going in the way that we're going without some type of fix. I think that will be that AI overlay will help. If anyone's never heard of it, Ground News, I haven't gotten a subscription, but it sounds like the beginnings of that, where you can see an article and be like, 60% of conspiracy theory nuts love this article. So maybe it's a little not for me.
I'm not one of those guys.
Seeing a lot of on Twitter, people be arguing and then they'll
falling rock.
Yeah, yeah.
Your AI.
Yeah.
And then people will start like ignorant facts, and it's like in a very unbiased way. Then people will start arguing with the AI so they agree with their view, even though all it is doing is just giving like facts.
Yeah.
So like you said, people want to leave their echo chambers sometimes, even if it's right for something to do so.
Yeah,
I had a
like people have this weird perception, you know, like if only someone heard it my way, they would change their
Sure,
mind.
sure.
Not true. Not true. They probably are aware of your perspective and still don't like it. They're like, you know, they just don't read those articles. Reading more of them isn't going to change it.
Yeah.
Or better yet, they'll ask AI for an answer, but they'll preload it with its opinion.
Right.
And then when you tell your friend, like, hey, I just preloaded it with my opinion, and it told me a completely different answer, and they're just like, yeah, but that's not right. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, that makes no
The facts,
sense.
the figures, the studies, a lot of that stuff is presented as fact, and it's not. It's like small samples, all sorts of problems with that stuff. That it doesn't necessarily represent it work in a different culture, maybe not ours, things like that are just totally not taken into account. But we kind of look at every study like, well, this person did a study that did this. Another study came up with that. So you got to kind of get away from that noise. It's hard. Like you mentioned, like best practices. I think of what, like bringing it a little bit back. What I find with this content differentiation is like, all right, 5 SEO best practices. It's by definition not differentiated. I can give you 5 development best practices. Other people are going to give you those same 5. So, and then you're going to say something contrarian. You don't want to be contrarian where it's like, well, that's just wrong. Like, so how do you find the thing that's contrarian, but right? It's like a perspective, like Norm Macdonald, great at this, right? Like a perspective, like, oh, listen, that was a new perspective on a truthful thing. And I think that that's the problem why there's so many of like these articles, and maybe you try the spicy headlines, but in its essence, it's the same shit about SEO everybody knows. It's the same crap about development everybody knows.
Yeah, the source material has to be wrong in order to keep pointing it out.
I think you're missing something here, though. It's being in front of the right audience, right? And what I mean by that is, if you're putting something where all you guys are reading stuff that you all know already, well, then you haven't put it in front of the right audience, right? If tomorrow a group of people come in here that are dying to know about SEO, who do not have a lot of experience in it, they're business owners or they run a business like myself, right? I want to be here, and you're probably going to tell me shit that everybody else in here knows except for me. And in that room, you're going to be very popular. People are going to be like, oh shit, that's pretty cool. So the content could be the same as 30 other people that put content out there, but you're not putting it to the right audience if it's not standing out to that audience. It's more, that's marketing. So when everyone's talking about these groups and these segments, it's been happening for years. These segments, figuring out a segment, what's the right thing to get in front of that segment to attract their attention, to get them to respond, right? So you have to get a little bit more specific in not just the content, but who is the audience for the content, the right audience to get the attention. Because again, sometimes we get so close to things, we just assume everybody knows something, and they don't. And you gotta get in front of the right people.
So you make a good point too, like we talked about this with mileage and following, and I'm always like, yeah, I got a lot of likes for them. None of these people are buyers. My whole following is not people who buy my product. And I was like, that's a huge freaking problem. I was like, I'm followed by all developers. I really don't want developers following me. I want people who buy my product. I want non-developers following me. So I think a lot of us too get into like, oh, this is like, you get the advice a lot, like talk about what you do every day at work. And then you start getting more and more people who are like yourself, but you're like, this is not the person I sell my product to.
So I'll give you a perfect example. So VO3, is everybody in here use VO3 yet?
I've seen it.
Yeah, so the majority of people in here use it, the majority of the population have not, right? Probably less than 1%, probably 1/10 of 1% or less than that. So today we had a presentation, we have 3 clients in the office, Fortune 35 company, right? We showed them VO3, they were blown away. If I showed you a VO3 video in here, you guys would be like, oh yeah, great. Nice, whatever. What's next? It's the audience. So same thing that everybody thinks that everybody knows about because you're in this room, but that audience, Fortune 35 company, billions and billions of dollars in revenue a year, market cap at probably 50 billion, right? We're blown away by that. And then also what Spencer showed today, which was that the podcast that we can interact with, right?
Yeah.
Everyone in here has probably seen it too, right? The thing that makes the podcast came out like 6 months ago, 9 months ago. You put in content and makes it. Now you can interact with it, which is pretty slick. It will blow away. Change their perception of us as a company. But if I present in this room, we're not change your perception of me. You'd be like, yeah, this guy knows the same shit we know.
So you bring up a great point.
think it was a lot of good pants in there.
One at a time. One at a time. Yeah, we know.
So you're talking about building a brand within a certain demographic, right? So you guys have it lucky where you are differentiated because, you know, right now, right here, you guys are on the cutting edge of AI, and these audiences may not always be that way, and they may look at you in 6 months and say, yeah, we've seen it. Exactly. So let's talk about building a brand in a crowded space, right? So this technique is called, I call it the villain's whisper. It's called aporia, right? It goes back to Socrates, but let's say we're all going to open a gym, right? You may open a gym. There's a couple of people in the neighborhood. Great, gym, going to join it? Perfect. But you want to build a brand, right? How do you make your gym differentiated? So one of the best examples of this technique, aporia, it's basically when Joker says to Batman, you and I are not so different. Batman's like, we're completely different. Planet Fitness came in and basically established themselves as the anti-gym, right? So every gym in the world is like, here's our gym, we're bigger, we're better, look at these models with these abs. We want you to come in, we want you to level up, we want to pressure you to increase your membership, where Planet Fitness came in and said, everything you know about gyms is wrong, right? You and I are not so different. We hate gyms too, which is why we created Planet Fitness. So there's plenty of an audience that's just going to join a gym because they need to join a gym, but there's also an audience, an untapped audience, where you can be contrary and say, hey, you know what? You're right. Gyms suck. $19 a month. We're never going to pressure you to level up. There's no grunting. There's no judgment. You know, their tagline is the world judges, we don't. So there's an opportunity there to truly differentiate yourself by being contrary or using that technique called aporia, which I go into very much in the next book. So being contrary, there's strategy behind it, which I'm sure you know, but you can also leverage it considerably if you see where the puck is going to be.
We have a contrarian example. So for the first time in history, I am able to release a marketing campaign, which is called Name Your Price. So if you're holding on to an idea and you have this great idea to develop something, but you've always been blocked by time or money, my organization obfuscates that. So regardless of what your idea is, I now have a new campaign. It's on the homepage of my website, and it's a Name Your Price. So if you come to me with a great idea and you only have $1,000, cool, I'll build that.
What if you have like $5?
I'll take equity. If it's a good enough idea with a defensible mode, I'll take equity. We'll take a run, right? But I know now with tooling and what we've been able to create with leveraging AI as an engineer, like what we're able to do, time is almost irrelevant now. Like what I was doing in 3 months is now taking 3 hours or 3 days or whatever the scenario is. So I'm able to say, and listen, this is a marketing strategy. This is to get you to say, I only have $5. Well, we're going to have that conversation. I'm a better salesman than $5. And we're going to leverage as much as we can. But that is differentiating me from every other development agency on the planet, which is afraid to take the ride. I know I can make good on that offer. Another development agency may not be where we are with our technology adoption. So just my way, this happened like in the last 2 months of just coming up with a program from a marketing perspective that I can sing on social media or whoever comes to me. And it's truly name your price, bring your idea, and we will build it. I don't even know of another agency that is willing to do that. And I'm profitable on it almost 100% of the time. So go figure. It's just a modern example of like me trying to find my way in a very loud, very noisy environment. And there's certain deals that you can't do that with. You know, like you can't do that on like a Shopify store because I can't use agent technology for that. I have to manually do that process. But if you want to build a custom solution, I'll build that. I'll build that tool. I'll build that business product. No problem.
Does anybody know what the biggest imported wine in the country is?
Is it a brand?
It's a brand. It's a brand from Australia. It's not very good.
Yellowtail.
Yellowtail. So they had a built-in audience, but they learned that people thought wine was too difficult to enjoy. It was pretentious. You had to have a refined palate. It just wasn't something that they could stand out in and differentiate themselves. So they used aporia. They came with a contrary perspective. Their tagline is literally, Those wines are for them. Our wines, these wines are for us, right? The people that don't have that pretentious, snooty attitude, we're the wine for you, right? Our wine tastes like fun. You don't have to have a degree, you don't have to be a sommelier, and boom, that differentiation tactic, that contrary use of aporia, the biggest imported wine in the country. Any questions at all about supervillainism, what the hell it means, why I wrote it, why I went crazy?
When can I take a certification?
It's coming, it's coming.
Certified supervillain.
So, to give play out, can you speak about the alter ego kind of character, your own?
Sure, sure. I don't know if it's much of an alter ego anymore. I mean, I work in a
You're pretty dark side now.
pretty corporate environment, and Paul's like, turn it down. Oh yeah, I think you're a little frightened sometimes.
He's your fan, man. He's a fan.
Something recently.
It was the poster for this event.
I didn't design that, by the way. He did.
I got to differentiate, man. You got to stand out in the crowd.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people come to me, myself included, as a small business owner. We're under-resourced, right? And there's always a super brand, whether it's a client, whether it's myself. There's always a super brand in the industry. We sell books, but we want to look like Amazon, right? Amazon is basically a superhero. They've got big muscles, which is basically big marketing budget. They've got huge public favor. So everyone kind of looks at them like a superhero. And then my client with no budget comes along and says, I want to look like them. I want to act like them. I want to take market share away from them. And acting like them or trying to be a hero is a recipe for failure. If you think about movies, the supervillain usually doesn't have huge muscles, huge revenue sources. They're usually scrawny. They have to use their brain. They're incredibly cunning, and they have to outsmart the hero. And I've kind of taken that mentality with both my business and my client's business, saying, we can't out social media them. We can't outspend them. We can't out SEO them. We have to find holes in the line, if this is a football game, where we can grab a few yards. We can grab a few yards, crunch up against them, grab another yard. So the whole supervillain mentality, there's a lot of parallels in my book, in my business, but it's kind of changing the script around, you know, following the rules. If anybody knows the Kobayashi Maru, show of hands, Kobayashi Maru, 1, 2, okay, not a lot.
Read your book?
I would have expected at least half the room. The Kobayashi Maru is a simulation that everyone in Starfleet Academy had to take. And it's basically a no-win scenario. There would be 2 ships, and whatever you decided, 1 ship was going to perish. And it taught people how to deal with a no-win scenario. But there was only 1 person that actually beat the Kobayashi Maru, and that was Captain Kirk. He went in, reprogrammed the simulation because he doesn't believe in no-win scenarios. He went in, reprogrammed it, beat the Kobayashi Maru. And I kind of take that approach to business, right? There are a lot of no-win scenarios. The cards are stacked against you as a small business owner. If you play by the rules, you don't have a great potential for an outcome. But if you're willing to rewrite the rules and play by your own rules, now the game's different. Anything else? We have time? Keep going.
It is 8:10.
Okay.
We get kicked out of here at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
If you have more that you'd like to convey, we'll give you maybe 10, 15 more minutes.
Okay.
If not, everybody can ask questions. We can open it up. We'll network. Everybody can grab a drink or whatever, but that's up to you.
Yeah, let's have questions.
Where do you think the line goes between marketing and then being profitable in sales? It's like, one of the things you said, I feel like I've done something that was contrary. Like I have like a basketball background, like I love the marketing. And then I've kind of played around with stuff like posting Instagram videos, and I post a video of like LeBron getting dunked on, and it got like 1 million views. Everybody's commenting, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with my brand. And then I made another video, like, that were contrary. It was contrary, it was like Peter Parker from Spider-Man, like making a face, like almost crying. And then I was like, I made a basketball relatable. It's like, oh, when bro step backs on you and hits the game in the face, and I got like 2 million followers, 2 million views, and everybody's tagging their friends, and I'm like, this is not making sales. So what do you think is like, you know, the market strategy to like be topsoil and direct to what you're doing?
So a great quote I heard is, a lot of businesses are relationship based, right? You'll do my website because we're buddies. You know a guy that needs a website, you'll introduce him to me. And that business model is just not sustainable, because if everyone wants to do business with you because of a personal relationship, you're giving discounts, you're taking extra care, you don't let a ball fall, you break a relationship. The best quote I heard is, the relationship is the reward for the expertise that you bring to the table, right? So let's flip it. You need a surgery. There's a doctor. He's the only guy in the country that specializes in your surgery. You go to him for his expertise, and the relationship that you develop because of that expertise and the gratefulness is the reward. So a lot of people are like, I'm going to let my personal self shine in social media. I'll make some friends. People like me because I'm a Yankee fan. We'll have something to talk about. It's great, but it's not sustainable. If you focus on the one thing that you're best in the world at, and people start coming to you not because you're a Yankee fan, because Donnie, you're the only guy that talks about this. This is my problem. You're my guy. The relationship will eventually be the reward for the expertise that he provides. So that's kind of my guiding light. There's a concept called the flip, right? When you're in a business situation, I come to you, hey, you need marketing, you need a website, you need to have it. There's a power dynamic here. I have no power. He has all the power in the world, right? How do we as service providers flip that? I want to be in the driver's seat. I want the power. I want you to come to me and say, hey, I saw that blog article you wrote. Nobody's writing stuff like that. I think you can help me with my problem. Now, all of a sudden, I'm in the power position, and I can start dictating terms and pricing and stuff like that. So all of your social media, again, this is for me, it might be different for your environment. I'm looking to create that flip. I want to post something so insightful that someone says, oh shit, this guy's not selling me, I'm going to him. I want to buy from him, to create that power dynamic shift. You may not get as many people as a LeBron dunk, but the quality will increase. And you want that power as an expert in your field.
Well, if you were at a Coldplay concert like 2 weeks ago, I had a great. No, I think I like that idea of like not going after the likes. Like, forget about the likes, because you can get a lot of likes for the wrong stuff. And I think going back to what you were saying, Paul, is like the audience of the internet is freaking everybody. So like you're putting content out there, you're just not getting it. But that's the challenge we have. Is you're doing this for a year, 2 years, 1 like, 2 likes, sometimes no likes. You're just like, oh my god. You do like a repost about Adobe. Well, and you're just like, okay, like that was not right. Like like that. Yeah, so you almost like you said, stick to the insight and kind of forget the likes for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's different tools for every job. If you're the local insurance guy and you're sponsoring little league teams and you're building your book of business, and you can sustain that because it's passive income basically, that might be your best thing. Post on social media, your kids, this little league, this, that, the other thing. But if you're looking to be an expert that people come to for expertise, you may want to flip that. I don't need friends. I need people that come to me and respect my opinions, my insight.
From an expansion, was it so something you said earlier about chasing virality versus longevity? I feel like the posts you had mentioned were targeted toward virality. Like, there's something funny. Of course, everyone's going to send it to their friend. They laugh and wants their friends to laugh. They'll have themselves. I think with what you're doing, it should also, going back to like authenticity, you should be hyper focused on what you're doing. Like, try to stay away from memes or stuff. Like, focus on what you're actually offering. And then I don't know if you've heard, many people probably heard of this already, the 1,000 true fan theory. The 1,000 true fan theory is being authentic, building those relationships that are genuine with you. Like, even if it's a fan who's you're never going to meet in person, fine. They're going to trust you and start building a parasocial relationship. At the end of the day, you'll come to you for it, offering. And let's say you have 1,000 people a year that really invest with what you're doing, really following you, really there. If what you're offering is profitable, if you can get each of them to spend $100 a year on it, let's have 20, You got your first 1,000 true fans for every year, you know whatever big guy believes that much, that they go in moving that much. That ends up snowballing upwards and scaling. So that's my advice, stick to what you actually want, stay away from the stuff that people are just thinking. Said a million times, but have nothing to do with what you want, for them to be attentive to.
I'll layer back into it for a second. Yep. to continue. So I'm a student of a particular brand out of, I think it's Germany. I'm thinking of Lars. There's a brand out there called Granny and Smith. It's a development shop that specializes in a product called In a Week. It's in 1 week. I'm going to take your idea and we're going to innovate that to a product to market in 1 week. Super fast sprint. We meet every day, 4 hours a day. You pay out the nose for it, and we're going to get that product to market. But his marketing and his brand and himself as an extension of that brand. So think me as an extension of Cause of a Kind, but Cause of a Kind lives on its own. He's like trend jacking. So he'll do what you're doing, but he's not chasing 2 million likes. He's taking that moment that's going to catch somebody's eye and relating that back to Granny and Smith is the name of the agency and his product, which is called In a Week. So if like, forget about just reposting that meme. If you could then layer in overlay your text about your product and service and how that relates back to what you do as a business, that's his content. He's literally trend jacking. So it's something that we play with. All that stuff absolutely works, but there's a way to chase virality and then wrinkle that to your core offering.
Yeah, I see people do that too. It's a market strategy where they show something crazy, like a bus is coming and it's about to hit them, and as soon as it's about to hit them, they cut it off and they show their hoodie or their pants, and it goes viral like that. But it's really the bus coming and cutting it off before it hits the person that made it go viral versus the actual troll.
How genuinely is that?
Right. True. You have to think about what your goal is.
So people really like, oh,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't know how many sales they get because I'm not in analytics, but I see, those get crazy amount of likes and comments.
Well, also think about this. He does this every day, probably 5 times a day, 365 days a year. So this is his commitment and this is what he is known for. And so when you see his first reel, you like it. When you see his second reel, you follow it. Or maybe it's 10 reels, you follow it. Then you have your idea. You're like, oh, I've been seeing this guy every day. He's in my life every day. You follow me on LinkedIn, I'll be in your life every single day for the rest of your life. If anybody here follows me, I'm in your feed every day. So when you have your moment, I think of you. When you think of custom software development, you think of me, not Cause of a Kind. You think of Justin, or you think of Mike. So for me, I want to be in your life every day. So whatever you have to do, commit to that on a daily development, even if it's not creating content. Even if it's old-fashioned, smiling and dialing cold call.
That's what's funny about social media because, like you said, they might like it one day, they might interact with one another day, but I feel like nobody ever sees, the sales behind it or your profit. You can act like, oh yeah, I'm driving this nice car and this is blowing up, but nobody actually knows your bank account of how much profit it is. So I feel like that's what's misleading.
Doesn't even matter.
No, I can't even act like it.
Listen, you missed it. You missed it a couple meetings ago and put Donnie on blast. Donnie works for GoDaddy, big job. Donnie, on camera, came out and said, I faked my way through that entire interview. They didn't know how skillful he was.
But I faked the whole way up. The whole fucking way up. On camera. The whole way up. Where's the camera? The whole way up. I don't belong there.
So this is the same concept. It's almost it's a fake it till you make it, but do it in an authentic way. It doesn't matter who your customers are. When we started this agency, my customers were everybody I worked with professionally at my old shop. I just said, oh, I've worked with Marriott. Oh, I worked with L'Oreal. No, I worked with all of them. But that was on somebody else's dime. It wasn't me and my agency's work. But meanwhile, that got me into the conversation. And today we really do work with these types of brands. Really do work with Wyland. Right? Like there really are businesses out there that want to work with specialists, but sometimes you have to not worry about your metrics. That's all head trash. You got to just think about like, what's your core offering? What's your meaningful position in the market? And like, how do you differentiate yourself from everybody else's noise? So if you are like just a basketball fan and like, that's what's being fed to you all day, download that clip, repurpose that clip, wrinkle it to your core offering as a business. And at least you'll enjoy creating that content forever. Who gives a shit how many likes you get, how many followers you get? Because the people that do follow you and are interested, those are your true fans. When they think about the thing, what's your thing? What's your business? Where's Matt's shoes? Matt is wearing a pair of shoes right now. I'm also a customer of this brand. It's called Kizzo Kicks or Kizzo Shoes or something like that. He makes one of every size. He hand stitches all of it. His content is just the process of him lighting shoes on fire that he's not happy with. Dude, like, you just come up with your moment. Like, if your content is all about that, do something that's deranged. Like, take your content, give your product out on the street as like a loss. It's my business card is a $2 bill. I'm going to give you one. It's a loss, but you won't forget where you got it from. So your content is like, maybe I go to the street and I find some random people here in town and I'm just giving you content, but I'm recording that and I'm going to repurpose that. You're sitting in a room tonight. I'm recording this for a reason. This is the best content I make all month. So just start thinking about, like, how do you differentiate yourself? It's probably the way you just live your life and do your thing. And that Kizzo brand is, you should be a student of that Kizzo brand because right in line with what you're trying to build. So not that you shouldn't watch the LeBron content, but there's other masters of your specific domain that have differentiated themselves and are standing out in that space.
Yeah. And I'll reiterate 2 things. Your mileage may vary. There's no right answer. And getting back to Mike's statement, it's all about goals, right? So the goal, the tool has to meet the goal, right? So there's actually 4 different types of marketing supervillains. Tonight, everyone has a little mock prayer card, keeping in theme with you don't need a campaign, you need a cult. This is the cultist prayer card with a little mantra on the back. There's 3 other ones. So if you feel like you're a little bit lost, maybe finding, okay, this is the foundation of my architecture, my framework, my lens, like Norm Macdonald, on how I'm going to get my deepest fears, insecurities, insights out into the world in a creative, consistent way and differentiate myself. That's all I got. Oscars.
Let's try it again.
Wrap it up.
It's not easy to stand in front of this room, so I just want to give you a round of applause, man.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
and
my
listening.
pleasure.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure to be your friend and just be on this ride with you.
Same.
So gang, we do this every 45 days. The next one is going to be somewhere in the middle to end of September. Okay, and then we'll do one that's around the holidays. We'd love to see your faces. Come back, please. As you know, these are going to be free forever. We're thinking about getting a little bit deeper and offering some membership level options that'll offer you interim things. And I got to figure out what that looks like. But this room just keeps growing. 57 people signed up for it. We had a pretty good turnout. So I would say we're doing something right. It's my way of differentiating in the world. Yes, it's pretty great. Started from nothing. So like I said, we like to wrap this thing up. I'd love to give just a little bit of a summary for this, just so everybody can have a little bit of a takeaway to go home with. I think my moral of today's story is you're really not trying to reinvent yourself. You're really trying to amplify yourself. And there's lots of different people in this room, and you all have different goals. Some of us are looking for first jobs. Some of us are looking to get out of a career. Some of us are looking to find our way through a career. Some of us are just trying to build a business and support a family and think creatively about what my next step is. I think the moral of today's story and the super summary is you got to find your own internal supervillain. It's how you can advocate for yourself. It's how you can advocate for your family, for your business, the things that you care about. And no matter what, everybody wants to kind of stand out. I'm not saying that you got to go and stand on a stage and like give a presentation and do all that type of thing, but trying to figure out how you can differentiate yourself in the world is only going to separate you in the noise. So I definitely love the presentation. I'm a student of the book. I'm reading the second one, trying to help you guys help get it to market. So it's a pleasure to host all of you. As you know, we're going to wrap it up here at about 9 o'clock. It's 8:26 right now. We can just mingle. You guys can ask questions. My business card is literally a $2 bill, so I want to put money in your pocket. Come and talk to me. We're going to go across the street at about 9 o'clock. We literally go right across to the tap room. We'll open up a bar tab. You guys can get some drinks and some food and just extend the party, and we'll stay there for as long as everybody's got energy for. But yo, welcome to the 11th Long Island Technologists Meetup. I'm excited to host the 12th one, and we'll see you all there. Okay, right.